And I think we can say these along because I have them all printed. We gather today to take up the business of the church.
Recording
We
in
come
progress.
to discuss important matters, reports from leadership, how we shall spend our time, energy, and money, details small and large that guide how we shall be together. We do this in order to do the work of the congregation, to find the lost and lift up the sorrowful, to pursue our vision of loving kinship with our neighbors and creation, to cultivate a community alive with love, justice, and joy, to make the world we dream the world obtained. May we be kind in our speaking, thoughtful in our deliberating, and never stray from the love that binds us together. Thank you. All right, we'll go through the agenda slides pretty quickly. In order to make the slides big enough to read, we had to put that on 3 slides, so. There's slide 1, go ahead and go to slide 2. Gonna have the committee reports, treasurer's reports. That's not in the right order anymore, I apologize. And slide 3, then we're gonna have a couple awards, closing words, and adjournment. First, we need to approve the June meeting minutes. There were copies available in the back. There are copies available on the QR codes that are on the white sheet of paper and the QR code on the screen. Did anybody have any questions or something they wanted to say about the meeting minutes? All right. There is a motion by Jen Stark to approve the meeting minutes. Do we have a second? All right, I got Michael Raymond for a second. All those in favor? Thank you. And now for the president's report. Go ahead to the next one. First, I want to thank all our current board members. If you are a board member, could you please stand up or wave your hand if you're not feeling up to standing up? Thank you, guys. Now, if you've ever been on the board, please raise your hand. That's a lot of people. If you've ever been on a board or congregational committee, raise your hand. That's even more of you. Can we have a round of applause for all these folks who have invested their time and energy in Oak Ridge Unitarian Universalist Church? Thank you. So our board priorities for the year that we developed at our board retreat this August was developing a strategic plan to guide us into the future. On October 14th, we met with the UUA Southern Region staff with a shout out to Nancy McCombs Morgan, who is retiring to spend some time with her grandbaby, and Cameron Young, to begin strategic planning process. Our second priority was to increase our loving, accessible presence in the community. We have increased the visibility of the church through the Oak Ridge Pride event. Thank you to PFLAG for organizing that, what we hope will be an annual event. And increasing the rental income, which we all know is important. This is something that the executive staff does. We won't be discussing it until January because there's been a lot on the plate since then. Okay. My goals for the year, because the president has 3 goals, or a couple goals too, to complete the continuing work on the governance policies. Our governance policies are hard to get through, and it's hard to find stuff in it, and it should be very transparent. So we're rewriting them to make them easier to read. In some cases, we're tweaking the information in it, but not a whole lot. And we're getting an onboarding procedure for every committee and board position so that folks can feel prepared for their new position. And all the committees are very on board with that because they don't like being thrown into stuff either. All right. President's report, we held the board retreat in August, and we all learned about each other and governance. It was a lot of fun and very educational. Reworking the governance policies, of course, and creating and sharing of a governance diagram for clarity and transparency in governance, and we'll get to that diagram in a minute. Appointed an interim treasurer due to vacancies. Thank you very much, Heather Dillon. We filled a midterm vacancy in endowment as per their charter, so thank you, Jessica Size. And then we began working on the strategic plan. As far as communications go, we do have a board corner in the exponent, so hopefully you've read a little bit from me. We put the minutes in the hallway and in the exponent. First Sunday, there is somebody from the board out in the lobby ready to have any conversation you want to with a board member. And then the governance diagram, which we're getting to now. Governance was really opaque when I was first on the board. I did not know who to bring questions to, who to ask this or that. So when I was working on the board retreat, I realized we didn't have a good visual representation of governance. Surely I could make a flowchart. And then I drew it and redrew it about 15 times to squeeze it onto one page because I'm not good enough with digital stuff to tweak that. I ran it past a bunch of people who know a lot about governance, and hopefully the current image is readable. I don't know. No, it's too small. It's kind of involved. The big circle is all the stuff that happens in the congregational meeting, and the congregation is the ultimate authority in the church. So I want everybody to know that and know that we really appreciate you. I am going to redraw this again because it doesn't have the charter on it, which is above the bylaws. And it doesn't explain that the operational procedures down at the bottom, that's the day-to-day workings of the church. So like, you know, we need to switch to electric handles, something like that would be operations. And then governance policy in the middle there guides the making of the operational policies. So I just want to say thank you, because without all of us here, we could not legally operate as a nonprofit corporation or as a church. These meetings are required by charter and bylaws, which are legally binding and filed with the state. So really, thank you so much for being here. And now I'm going to turn it over to Lori.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for your service as president this year. You've been doing a fantastic job. Can we? You make it look easy, and I know that it isn't. So, well, thank you all also for coming to attend the congregational meeting. The exercise of democracy in our faith is both thrilling, I know, and a statement about what we believe to be a valuable way for community to function. We have no popes, we have no kings. You all make this work. This report is organized in sections: worship and rites of passage, spiritual care, spiritual growth, social justice, administration, and serving the larger faith. And finally, the outlook for the rest of the church year, which ends June 30th. The full details of my report can be found at this QR code, which you can scan with your phone camera. I cannot contain how proud I am of this congregation and to be your minister. This year is going incredibly well, if I may say so. One particular highlight is that we have increased our outreach efforts thanks to our communications coordinator, Rachel Smith-Jones, and lay leaders like Mayor Martell. We tabled at the Atomic Fall Fest, created ORUUC yard signs, again, thank you, Mayor, hosted the first ever Secret City Pride, thank you to PFLAG and John Jeruzel. We had an article in the Oak Ridger about my first year at ORUUC, and I taught an Oracle class called Unitarian Universalism 101 that had really strong attendance. These efforts are leading to a noticeable influx of new visitors and members. Many of them have shared that the political situation, their need for community, their desire for non-dogmatic religious education for their children, and untraditional spiritual life are among their reasons for coming to ORUUC. Now, into worship. We have a new UUA virtual hymnal called Sing Out Love that we are subscribing to. It has continual new songs, full permissions to use and stream, and we are introducing it by doing this Song of the Month that you all have probably started to see. We are uploading sermons to YouTube, although sometimes they can lag a few weeks behind, but we are regularly uploading them on, so if you ever miss a worship, you can always check it out later. I've done 2 weddings. We have 1 memorial next week. I was part of an ordination in Atlanta. Now, our worship attendance, this is, our average worship attendance was 105 in person and 18 on Zoom since the church year began in July. This is an increase, both of them. The attendance pattern, the ebbs and flows, is actually very similar to last year, and I crunched the numbers. The ebbs and flows correlate to increased attendance when there is youth faith formation. If we can get the next slide there, yeah. And decreased attendance when there is no youth faith formation. So just an appreciation to Christine and our faith formation team and volunteers, because it makes a big difference for parents to be able to bring their kiddos somewhere like this. In terms of spiritual care, I've changed the name from pastoral care to spiritual care. Pastoral has a Christian connotation about the shepherd and the sheep. I don't think of you all as sheep. Yeah, you're like the least sheep-like people I think I've ever met. So, more like chickens. So I've changed the name to spiritual care, which is really what that is. I have done 28 one-on-ones, 11 hospital or home visits. We've given from our minister's discretionary fund $6,021, which is a 6 times increase from this period last year. So we're seeing a lot of increased needs, but it's nice to know that folks know they can come to us. We get walk-ins during the week into the office. Our caring committee and spiritual care team are functioning, but they are still in need of improvement. We're still working on it. We have begun having regular meetings on first Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. I repeat, first Saturdays at 11:30 a.m. Whoops, 11:30 a.m. And we're going to be doing a training in February. So if you're interested in joining this team, we need more volunteers. Spiritual growth. First, youth faith formation. Our average Sunday attendance is 27 kiddos, which is also an increase from this period last year. Nursery and spirit play, we're having a ton of kids in this age range. Next year, we're actually going to have to split spirit play into 2 age groups. So we're figuring out how to use the spaces in the faith formation wing to make that possible. A good problem to have. Our middle schoolers are doing the Crossing Paths curriculum, led by Whitney Cole, which is teaching them about different religions. And they're actually doing field trips to different houses of worship. So they've already visited the Jewish congregation of Oak Ridge, or JCOR, and St. Mary's, the local Catholic church. The kids are loving it. And and the congregations they've been going to have enjoyed it as well. JCOR won't stop gushing about how much they loved having our kids visit. So thank you to all who are making that possible. We're hoping to teach 10th to 12th grade OWL, our sex ed program. We're hoping to team up with Tennessee Valley UU Church in order to do it, if engagement is solid. And we don't know if it will be yet. So I would highly encourage families with youth in this age range to consider participating, so your young adults can be excellent stewards of their own bodies and a source of information for their peers who aren't given this important information, as well as contributors to the general public health. Woo!
7th to 9th is way different. It is important to do.
Yes. Just to repeat, 10th to 12th is different enough from 7th to 9th that we recommend they go through both. Charlie, did you have? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you, Jenny. Now the high school youth group, unfortunately, attendance to that has been decreasing, but we're going to be working on improving the program to increase engagement with that. high schoolers sometimes you never know. Okay, so multi-gen events. You all have been to a lot of these. Potlucks, Pet Fest, Trunk or Treat, Gift and Craft Fair, Cocoa and Caroling, Return of the Cookies. We got a lot going on. We freed Whitney Cole, who is our multi-gen events coordinator. We freed her up from some of the stuff that wasn't really in her job description so she can focus on these kinds of things. Next slide for small groups. As you all know, we have a lot going on at this congregation. I won't even read all of them, but I'm glad that so many of these small groups are lively, engaged, connecting. There are religious things, there are just sort of normal fun things, there are all sorts of stuff. So thank you all who run and participate in the small groups. Next slide, please. Membership. We held a new member class in October. We've basically gotten into a cycle of doing this twice a year. 7 new members joined in time to vote today. And like we said earlier, there's more info on them on the bulletin board. Social justice. We are seeing increased food insecurity. During the unprecedented 43-day government shutdown, don't even get me started, many in our community immediately felt the threat of food insecurity, which many in the community also helped to alleviate. Our October Stone Soup received many donations and I think ran out of food, is that right?
We ran out of meal.
Yeah, they ran out of the meal at the Stone Soup event. The office, we've been getting a lot of donations of food, which is wonderful. Perishable food is welcome. The office has been giving away 4 to 6 bags of groceries to walk-ins every week, which is an increase. We didn't used to need that many. So it is my strong recommendation that ORUUC consider starting a community garden SMA so that we can start to grow our own food just in case anything happens with the wider food ecosystem that is based in extractive practices and is a little teetering, if I may say so. So, community garden SMA, if you're interested in that, let me know. And also consider growing food at your own homes as well. Think of it like victory gardens. We're kind of in that territory. We are prepping for the warming shelter for the 3rd consecutive year. Thank you to Christina Elliott and the team who work on that. The warming shelter will open on nights that are colder than 20 degrees or if there is more than an inch of snow, I believe, is the 27?
If it's below 27.
Oh, okay, below 27.
Move it up this year, we had more volunteers.
Great. Because we had enough volunteers, we could make it 27 instead of 20, which is great. Because I don't know about you, the 20s are cold. I don't want to sleep outside in the 20s. Great, I'm glad to hear that. Secret City Pride was a huge success. We ran out of wristbands, so we know we had at least a few hundred people. ORUUC's PFLAG SMA, led by John Jerusalem and Marty Adler-Jasny, hosted that event. Several faith partners, including J-Corps and the First Methodist, tabled with us. We were on the news for this, which was exciting. I, John Jerusalem, Phoenix Raymond, Jordan Bear of Calamities Coffee, and Pastor Ken from First United Methodist also participated in a dunk tank, which was a new physical experience for me. We are prepping for an improved holiday parade participation. We're going to have a trailer with a proper float, and our theme is going to be Y'all Means All, so sort of country rainbow sort of a vibe. Anyone interested in participating next Saturday can dress in country attire, rainbows, sparkles, barnyard costumes, whatever. The parade is December 13th at 6 p.m. with final prep all that afternoon in the parking lot on Lafayette and Laboratory. Talk to Mayor Martell to get involved. It will be a colleckin' good time.
Also, they're in the social hall, Ashley Elliott making little
Yes.
chicken hats.
In the social hall today, there is a table where you can make chicken hats for that specific parade. Yeah.
And you can take it home if
Yes.
you don't want to mess with it.
It's really good in a parade that is actually by the city called the Christmas Parade to represent the more spiritual, untraditional groups. So it's really important we turn out and we don't just have 4 people on our trailer. So come on, let's get involved. It'll be a great time. All right. I also attended the Charlie Kirk Vigil with Betsy Speed and Nancy Lane Highfield. This wasn't planned, but we saw that it was happening. It was attended by a few hundred people, and it was after Charlie Kirk's killing, And the conservative community was sharing a lot of grief and anger on sort of an open mic. And I ended up speaking as well. I was wearing my stole, and I kind of said, "Greetings from the left. Hey, we disagree pretty strongly with Charlie Kirk, and we don't think that killing is the way to solve disagreements. In our faith community, we don't really think that." So I wish them well-being for their families, because they were feeling scared. They were feeling scared, and so they appreciated that. We saw actually a Facebook comment from someone who had been there being like, "Hey, I don't agree with this lady, but she was cool at the vigil." So, you know what I mean? All right. Also, there was an Oak Ridger article on my first year and a Facebook post that got like 450 comments. So we're kind of in the community consciousness a little bit right now. All right, admin. First off, our budget. Now, our treasurer, Heather Dillon, is going to go into more details on this, but I think our long-term finances are solid, but our annual operating budget is in a pretty significant deficit. So I have created a stewardship team. I recruited some wonderful volunteers. If you would be willing to stand or raise your hands, John Jeruzel, Ann Odell, Hal Hoyt, Brandon White, and sort of Rebecca Bowman. Wonderful. Can we give them a round of applause? Yeah, thank you. So they're going to be creating some fun events so that we can up our fundraising and our donations. Behind the scenes, we've been working pretty hard on internal digital organization. Some of our documents have been all over the place. We're working on making them a little bit more centralized and easy to find. And finally, Jake and Tandy took the normal 3-year break after their ministries ended here, and that 3 years has ended, and so Jake and Tandy, you may see them around now more often. They're in a sort of normal community member capacity. They will not be functioning as ministers unless they and I agree something's okay. But if you see them, say hi. All right. Larger faith. So our Toucan, the Tennessee UU Community Action Network, has officially launched. Woo! So statewide action networks help UU congregations all across the state organize together to work on statewide issues. They had a fall flock event in October that went very, very well. And Colin Loring is working on creating an SMA so that we can have a crew that is really tuned in, our liaison group to Toucan, which if you're interested in sort of statewide political organizing, this is your bag. And finally, the outlook for the rest of the year. We're going to be having stewardship events, like I mentioned. The executive team is working to review and revise our operations policies. I've been invited to be a speaker at Oak Valley Baptist's Martin Luther King Day event, which I feel very honored to do. The membership team, I haven't even talked with them yet, but I think they'll like the idea of having these 4x4 dinners with 4 new members and 4 longtime members so that people can get to know each other a little bit better. We're going to be doing a closet audit because we're running out of storage space in the congregation. So, you know, just a heads up. And finally, General Assembly will be virtual this year. And so we'll probably be having like a watch party, and we still need delegates for that. Thank you.
All right, back to my slideshow. And now we're on to committee reports. The first report will be Safer Congregations, and Christine Rader is the chair of that. She will be giving the report.
Yes, my name is Christine Rader. For those, I think most of you know me, but I am Director of Youth Faith Formation, and I have the distinct honor of working with 3 very smart and dedicated volunteers, and together we are tasked with updating our safety policies and procedures. And my wonderful committee is Jamie Garner, Colin Loring, and Donna Maloney. Absolutely. Just a couple of definitions. Here's what we're doing for governance. Policy, basically what we say we do, and procedure is what we actually do. It's kind of our job to make sure that there's not a chasm between the two of these things. We do know that policy in some ways, and we will be focusing on policy this year and then more actively diving into procedures in the coming years, because first we need to know what we say we're going to do, and then we need to do it. But procedure is always a bit trickier because we have the limitations of time, money, and human nature. So that takes a bit longer and a bit more ongoing. But this year, our team is wanting to update and ready the policies for board approval by June. And again, our procedures will be ongoing and in collaboration with the board and the exec team. You might be getting some emails from me saying, hey, how do you do this, or how do you recommend we do this? I have a wonderful, humble team, and we are the first to admit we certainly don't know how everything works. So we will definitely be asking for input and sending around checklists and just kind of saying, hey, how do we do things and how might we do it better? So I appreciate your feedback on those things, and please feel comfortable asking anyone on the committee if you've got suggestions about how we can update these policies. These policies were last updated in 2011, so some of it we really are behind the times. And so far, we have created and submitted a limited access agreement to the board. And according to the UUA, a limited access agreement is a document that sets boundaries on the behavior of a member in the congregation and outlines what they can and cannot do. And this is an agreement. This is often for those who may have behaved inappropriately within the congregation or have other legal issues that might affect their participation in our congregation. We are a loving and inclusive community and want to make space for everyone, but we also want to make space for safety within the congregation and safety for that person. This gives us some guidelines for a conversation. This is confidential. This would be a meeting with Lori, how these boundaries are set, and they often are updated. Circumstances change. But it just gives us guidelines for situations that might be difficult. We have also revised and submitted the disruptive behavior policy to the board, which is similar to the limited access agreement, but there's also firmer guidelines for situations that might be considered delicate or potentially even dangerous. And those have gone to the board for review in January. And our ongoing work, again, we will be reviewing policies and procedures. I've also sent out some checklists to various people in the congregation who oversee some of our things. If you have not sent that back for me, that's all right. Just get it to us by the end of the year, because we will be diving more deeply into that work in the new year. I thank you all for your care and concern for the safety of the congregation and for your help in making sure that ORUUC is safe for all its members and welcoming to newcomers. Thank you.
All right, our next report will be from the nominating committee. And Amanda Fischel is chair. She's coming up to give the report.
Hi, everyone. Next slide, please. All right, nominating committee report. I'm Amanda Fischel. I'm the chair of the nominating committee. My co-members are Jane Flanagan, Travis Jones, Nathaniel Bass, and Melissa Buttram. The positions that we are going to be having open, either for election or re-election this year, for the Board of Trustees, there's a president-elect position, a treasurer position, and 2 members at large. Some of those are eligible for re-election, right? For the nominating committee, we elect 5 people each year. There are 3 of us that are eligible for re-election. It's a 1-year term, but it's kind of like, hey, stay on for 2 years so that there's some continuity. For Charter and Bylaws, the Charter and Bylaws Committee is made up of 4 members. 2 members are appointed by the board and serve as board representatives. 2 members are elected by the congregation and serve as congregational representatives. We select 2 per year, and this is another one of those. It's a 1-year term, but we hope you stay for 2 years. And so we have 1 member eligible for re-election. And then the Endowment Fund Committee is made up of 5 members total. They are elected to 3-year terms, and they are eligible for 2 consecutive terms. And the way that the charter set that up, we elect one year, 2 the next year, and 2 the following, so that again, there's that kind of rotating continuity and institutional memory. In order to do that, there are 2 surveys that we're going to ask you to hopefully fill out. So get out your phones, check out this QR code. If you are currently in a leadership position, if you have ever been in a leadership position, and not just those elected committees, right? And any leadership, shared ministries, essential functions, all of that. It's open to everyone. And the goal here is just to help us as the nominating committee learn more about what you do. That way, when we ask someone, hey, would you like to do this? And they say, what do they do? Well, that way we have an answer for it. And you can fill it out as many times as you want for as many different positions as you want. And think of it also as a way that you might share the information so that we can help find more people to help you. And I'll post these QR codes on Facebook after the meeting today. Next slide. The other one is an interest survey. This is open to absolutely anybody. It doesn't commit you to anything to fill out the survey. I promise. It might commit you to me talking to you, but you know, that's all. And this is to help us learn what stuff you might be interested in, what your strengths are, what kind of things you want to learn. The various positions, you don't have to be an expert at the thing. Y'all let me learn on the job as secretary, so I think we can give other people that opportunity too. So this is open to absolutely everybody, and we tried to make both surveys kind of fun, so it's not just the standard like, what do you do for your day job? You know, like tell us what you do here kind of thing. So give it a shot, please, and this is going to help us know what kind of positions, you know, who's a good fit for a position, who's looking for different positions, and help us fill those positions in a way that, you know, matching expectations with expectations, so to speak. Next slide. And save the date. We will be hosting a reception for those of you who filled out the surveys. So there is a food reward. It's slightly disjointed in time. I assure you there will be copies of the survey available at the reception. So if you just so happen to not have completed it quite yet, there's still a chance. And that will be January 18th in the social hall after service. So please plan on joining us. And again, attending doesn't automatically sign you up for doing anything. Raj. I heard the part about food.
He wants the QR code back.
Can we go back a slide? For those of you who might be a little bit more motivated to do the interest survey, here it is. Like I said, I'll put it on Facebook after I get home today, and we'll get it in the weekly email. I know that there's a lot of stuff going on in December, so we'll bring it up in January again, I promise. Okay, 2 slides. And if you have any questions, if you want to volunteer to do something, anything like that, if those surveys really motivate you to want to jump into governance, please reach out to any of us on the committee. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, our next committee report is from Janet Fryer, Chair of the Endowment Committee. There's slides here.
Wow, they've got the slides up here for me. I'm the chair of the Endowment Committee, and my co-members are Shilling Kurd, who's our treasurer, Robin Naughton, who is the secretary, Margaret Durgan and Jessica Sayes just came on. Deborah Oscarson left. We serve, or the committee, actually the endowment fund, serves as a resource outside of the church's existing activities and operational budget to provide material goods and to support activities which promote, provide, or enhance the church experience or our reputation in the community. Sometimes we are helping to replace worn-out equipment. Sometimes we are helping to sponsor events or improve the building, and some of these things make us more visible in the community. We have a grant process, a grant submission process, and the solicitation for 2026 grants will be in the spring exponent. We publish it in the exponent, and we also have paper copies for those who don't want to deal with QR codes. Changes since last year. We voted for Fidelity to manage the endowment fund portfolio under their sustainable investment and stewardship model. That is a model which, if people are curious, we can provide a link to that. We felt they would do a better job managing the fund and helping it to grow. The fund has done well, though, because the market has done well. The current fund balance as of the end of October of this year was $706,000, and that represents a year-to-date increase of about 13%. Now, we encourage members of ORUUC to consider including the endowment fund in their wills or estate planning. I went to put some more of these out. We have a brochure that helps to explain how to do that. I went to put some out and realized there's some already out on the table in the lobby, and you can also ask members of the committee. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, next we have our treasurer's report, which Heather Dillon will be giving to us.
Hello, I am Heather Dillon. Some of you may not know me, but I'm the interim treasurer. I've been in this position since Steve left, probably. It's been 3, maybe close to 4 months. But so a few things that I want to go over today are, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is our total bank accounts. You can see that the bank account is down from last year on Steve's reporting. I did check the bank account this morning before I came because there were several things that were still in play whenever this was came out on the budget versus actuals. It was $169,137.05. So it was a little bit better than what you're seeing on the slide. But a few things to point out here that our expenses are up and our revenue is down some. You can see that the rummage there came in a little bit better than budget. The split the plate was down a little bit. The miscellaneous items was off quite a bit, but the total income versus the budget was off a little bit. The expenses are up. Of course, you know, it's been that kind of year, but it's the expenses are $170,000 there versus the budget of $154,000. So there was a bit of a difference there. You can go ahead and go to the next slide if you would like. All right, and then our pledge revenue there, you can see that that's down, so we need to be boosting our pledge revenue whenever that comes up. So I do have, this is for July through October. Typically, you're going to have November on this as well, but some of the reports had not come in at this time whenever I did this. But you can see the actual versus for each month there plotted out. So there's a difference there of the $7,007.66. You can go ahead and move to the next slide. So the auction revenue in the budget, some of the reasons that this was down, the auction revenue is showing here that it was at a deficit there. So there was, in the budget in October, there was $8,000 for an auction, and it didn't actually happen, so that caused a deficit in the budget. But there's a couple of things in the budget, and I may have skipped a slide. Can we go back? There we go. A few reasons that income is down and expenses are up. So pledges and fundraiser totals are below what was actually budgeted on here. Solar panel totals are typically in the budget. That's been one of those moments. I'm going to take a line from Lori's there. I'm functioning but not optimal at the moment. So the so the solar panel totals are not added into the budget. Hal Hoyt and I are meeting to get that. Martin has been keeping up with a lot of the data so that can be added into the budget. There was a general liability insurance premium that was paid for the year in September. Our accountant said that that was typically the way that that was done, but historically, I'm not sure that the premium is all paid in a lump sum there. I've got to look into that a little bit more. And then our health insurance costs went up as well. There was a vote to increase health insurance premium for 2026 by 19.5%, with normal age-related increases too. So that is something that's definitely going to be, reflected in the next budget coming up. So those increases. You can go ahead and move forward. These are the solar panel totals, just so you can see that we are keeping up with those, that we've got to get those added in as well. Okay, and I believe that that was my last slide, but I think that there was one that I missed there. I'm sorry about that. But I believe that that's everything that I was going to go over there. Let's see. As far as our totals for the bank accounts, I did want to point out that that was one of those things that the accounts like the endowment committee was talking about. Those are our long-term financial looks very good. It's just our, current stuff that is looking a little bit with the bank account and everything. So that's pretty much everything there. So yeah, but our long-term finances are solid, but our, budget deficit there is a little bit different. So we need to get the pledges up, and we're working on several things to make that happen. Lori spoke about several of those things in there whenever she was up here. One of my goals as the treasurer too is that I'm wanting to work on that onboarding process for our next treasurer, because I am the interim treasurer, so that's going to be coming up. And some of the safer congregation policies and procedures too are going to help with that process. All right, I guess that's everything.
Thanks, Heather. All right, our next report is Charter and Bylaws. And Anna's going to come up. There are handouts if you did not receive a Charter and Bylaws handout.
All right. So many, many thanks to the Charter and Bylaws Committee. It was a slog, and I'm so glad we got through it. So Jenny Keeler, Robin Naughton, and Peter Scheffler, and myself, Ann Miller. So thank you all. So we're going to do just oh, that is small, isn't it? A little bit of context around the bylaws. One of our thoughts around the changes was, let's get process out of the bylaws and just put the things in the bylaws that actually are structural, foundational, and then the stuff that's actually process, that how do we do this, how do we accomplish this, that can be moved off into the policies, which are easier to change and more fluid. So that was kind of the some of the big guiding principles that we went through. Let's see if there's anything else there. Oh, and we held in total 4 listening sessions, 2 for each set of changes, the housekeeping changes and then the membership changes. So the discussion today, we're going to have one motion because to amend, because my bad, we pulled one of the changes out and I didn't actually get that changed throughout the set. So my bad there. That change has to do with renaming the Board of Trustees to Board of Directors to make it consistent with the current charter. So we pulled that one for now. We may see it next time. Let's see, and then there's going to be the 2 votes, one for the set 1 and one for the set 2. So let's I'll go quickly through them. You'll probably be easier to read them on your handout than have me, yammering at you. Let's see, so in set 1, and these are housekeeping changes. So the last sentence refers to the next annual meeting, and that seemed quite confusing especially since we have 2 congregational meetings a year and everybody refers to them as the annual meeting. So we can specify which one is which, and that was the intent of that change. So it's the very end, the change is the very, very end of the last sentence in that. So the new wording would be, between annual meetings, the board shall, within 1 month, fill vacancies occurring in any elected office on the board or any elected committee. Such appointed members must be members of the congregation and, now we're getting to it, shall serve until the end of the church year. So it's very descriptive, and we don't have the same information multiple places in the bylaws. The second one has to do with who are the officers. In 2 places in the bylaws, it was described in 2 different ways. So let's just describe it all in the same way, which is to say that the board shall be composed of the officers of the congregation as described in Article 5, Section 2. So we're keeping the same language, just referring to it. And the 4 members elected at large, and the rest of that is all the same. So we're just clarifying that and making it the same language.
Let's get a mic on you. I'm coming.
This is in set 1, and we're at Article 5, organization.
Whoops.
The old wording included the past president. The new wording does not.
But that's actually referred to in Article 5, Section 2.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah, yeah.
Other question? Hi, the same line, couple sentences later. We switched to church year intentionally in Article 4 in the new wording, but we're leaving fiscal year in the new wording of this, our Article 5.1b. Was that not, I guess, are we trying to be consistent throughout, or is that an oversight, or should we revisit it some other time?
Let's revisit it another time. That had not come up. So I'll put a note to look at that and make sure that we're good. Okay. Let's see, the next one, in Section 2.
Is the last sentence in the old wording on this section still part of the new wording? The board members at large shall be trained in the receipt and counting of plate collection monies?
Thank you. Thank you. No,
Okay.
I appreciate that. We pulled that because that's just not true. And so, like, let's make our bylaws match reality also, not just themselves, but reality. Thank you, Lori. Okay. The next section indicates that the president-elect is responsible for maintaining the policies and committee handbooks. Well, it's really a joint effort. So that just seemed like a really mean thing to do to the president-elect, is say, here you go, like update all the policies, especially when it's a team sport. But as with all team sports, if you don't have a captain, it probably won't get done. So we just pulled that instead of saying the president-elect has to go through and do it all themselves, in cooperation with the board. Hopefully they cooperate. We switched that up, so the president-elect, in cooperation with the board, shall ensure that there is a complete and up-to-date policy manual. So there's a captain, but it still is the team sport. Let's see. The next one, 2G. And that one in the current wording has the secretary maintaining the role of membership. Well, actually, Jeannie does that. So, but there is an important role for the secretary when new members are approved by the board to go into that role and say, yep, they made it all the way through the process and now they're in the role. So really, it's just ensuring that those new members were added to the role rather than physically adding them.
Is removing the secretary's responsibility to maintain the membership roles in line with the responsibilities of the secretary according to the Tennessee Nonprofit Corporation Act?
I have no idea. Do you have a copy of that?
As a member, I feel like the charter and bylaws amendments that are presented should consider legal implications.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a copy of that? And do you know that that's out of inconsistent?
No, I'm asking,
Oh, okay.
Is it consistent with the responsibilities?
We don't know. So the Tennessee Nonprofit Corporation. Okay.
It seems to me that before we make changes to the bylaws, we should make sure that they're legal.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it did not. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
part was not in the housekeeping listening session.
Well, gosh. Anybody have Google? Okay, sounds good. Well, let's go on. We may decide then that we want to just pull that one from our set one before we vote. Let's see, so the next section, in section 2H, the current wording stipulates that a financial audit or review annually is per the board's discretion. And the board currently is viewing that as that it has to be an audit, which is terribly expensive if it can be done, because most CPAs are like, no, we do not want to even deal with churches because the policies are so squirrely. So it's terribly expensive. However, a review is relatively inexpensive and has not been done in a very, very long time. So, for the new wording would be that the treasurer shall arrange, with the concurrence of the board, for a review, not an audit, but a review, of the financial accounts by a qualified person, which could be a CPA, it could be a bookkeeper, it could be someone who knows financial records, how to look at them. Let's get some independent eyes on the situation. So, somebody who, not that it would ever happen here, but it has happened at Boys and Girls Club and all kinds of places, where somebody's just putting their thumb on the scale. So let's just get somebody's eyes on it to make sure that's not happening. Let's see, and that it should be done not less than every 2 years, so that the new treasurer hopefully can come in and know that at least somebody looked at it and said, yep, this looks pretty good to me. So let's see. The next one, the current wording stipulates that the ministerial search committee must use the UUA ministerial settlement system. Boy, that sounds an awful lot like policy. So let's just take that sentence right out of there, and the ministerial search committee can put that in their own policies and procedures, which settlement system they want to use. And the last one is section 4. This one's a funny one. And the current wording says comprised, but the actual, if we want to get all grammatical about it, is composed. So let's get grammatical. So the board may appoint committees or task forces composed of church members rather than comprised of church members. Whoops. Erin, did you find that yet?
I'm not, I'm looking for a section on officers, and I'm not finding it. But
Okay.
I haven't do it yet, sorry.
Okay. Could I get a motion then to remove the change to section 2G?
I did find something out here that says, under the Tennessee
I did find something that says, under the Tennessee Nonprofit Corporation Act, the corporation itself, its board and officers, is responsible for maintaining member records, including names, addresses, voting rights. In a format allowing for this list of preparation, typically the secretary or designated officer handles these records. Is that helpful?
It is, so we should be pulling that then. Sounds like. Okay. And do we have a second? All right. Very good. All in favor?
Official second.
Yep. Okay, and opposed? Okay. So let's scratch that one and we can revisit that next time. So, let's see. Let's go ahead and vote on the rest of set 1 without that change. Who would like to make a motion to accept set 1 housekeeping changes?
I move that we accept the proposed changes as submitted and as amended.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Wonderful. And opposed? Thank you. Okay. Now the next set is where I made the error, and left in calling it Board of Directors rather than Board of Trustees. So let's have a motion straight away to wherever it says Board of Directors, let's change that to Board of Trustees. Okay, so Jenny moved and Robin seconded? Oh. Board of Directors to Board of Trustees, yes, thank you. Okay. And let's see, so Kara, did you want to move? Okay. Okay, who wants to second? Rob, oh, very good. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Thank you, and opposed? Okay, good. So, now that we've got that little oopsie fixed. So the membership article, as it was written, was a little bit confusing, a little bit hodgepodge, had some things in it that were way too vague and some things that were way too specific. Some things that were policy and some things that just didn't kind of make sense in a logical sense. So we said, let's pull the whole darn thing and start over with just a new outline, and really, keep as much of the content and intent of the old as we could, but clean it up so it's a lot more readable. So, in the new, you'll notice a couple things. One of the things that we added was that to be eligible for membership, a person should be 16. The thinking there is, as much as we love Annie and Izzy, and Ozzy, the idea that, yes, they could be members and vote is a little, it's far-fetched, but it's possible. And do we really want 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds voting, no matter how darling they are? So probably not, and a legal, a good age of maturity would be 16.
Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to take a second to look at some of the things that are protected rights of members, not only voting in congregational meetings, being able to use the ORUC building per church policies, ministerial services, being able to lead congregational committees, teams, and task forces, as well as internment in the memorial garden. You mentioned 5 and 6-year-olds, but the cutoff for voting that you've outlined in this is not 5 or 6, it is 16.
Right.
I remember being 15. I think many of us do. There are plenty of, if the concern is that somebody isn't mature enough to have formed their own opinion, I think we all remember being 15 and having our own opinions on things. Do we have people in this memorial garden that weren't members?
No, but they have to be a member to be in the memorial garden.
So if one of our younger members were to die, they couldn't be in the memorial. I'm just trying to point out that it's not just that these are privileges granted to members, these are rights of members that are protected in our legislation. This is how we choose to institutionalize our values about youth. I'm concerned that kind of the first time that we're discussing youth being able to vote is whenever we are viewing them as extensions of their parents. If somebody were trusted to, if there were youth in this church, and if there were youth in this church that felt empowered enough to think that their voices would be taken seriously or made a difference. I put off becoming a member, and probably would have been a member when I was 15, put it off because I thought that there was probably a rule that I couldn't. I think if we were blessed enough as a congregation to have a youth presence of membership, I don't know. I guess that's on my mind, that I want. If we've got youth that want to be members, by God, we should be taking that, because we're talking about our high school youth membership of that decreasing. I was one of 2 people to graduate when I bridged out, and there was a whole year where there were only 3 youth in that. We talk a lot about wanting youth to be involved. We talk a lot about wanting like youth membership, youth leadership in committees. We talk about wanting youth to stand up and be large members of this community, be speaking members of this community, be members that are taken seriously. And I think adding that, adding a qualifier to that we only trust your voice to be saying something important, and that's really your own if you're 16 or older. I don't think that that's really in line with our values, that's all.
Okay. And Lori?
I think that's a great point, Patton. One thing I want to say is that it says members may enjoy privileges such as use of the building and interment and things like that. It does not prohibit non-members from having access to those things as well.
And also internment in our garden is open to family members of members.
Yeah.
So I would like to add, I think Patton's comments are well taken. Part of our values as ORUC is to be inclusive to youth, and even in our best efforts, they often don't feel that. And I think the codifying exclusion based on age is directly contradictory to the rest of the language in the paragraph to begin with. I would suggest adding age in the list of race, ethnicity, creed, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, and ability. Often we think of ageism as something that is affecting people who are older. It affects people who are younger too. It's the same thing. And we have been through this conversation almost verbatim 2 decades ago. I served on the board when I was 16. There is a legal prohibition, I think, to that age of majority and stuff like that that's not under our control. But 16 is a number that we picked without more discernment than these few meetings and these few minutes. And I won't be able to vote affirmatively to this if that stays in.
It's been a while since I've looked at the actual documents in question, but I think there is an age stipulation to serving on the board now.
There is, yeah.
So that's separate from membership. So if there's a legal responsibility aspect, that's already covered in a separate part of the bylaws.
Okay.
So for anybody that doesn't have the thing, the old wording did include who meets the requirements of this article regardless of age. It's right in there with the right race and everything else, so.
I also am a more recent board person, but I believe in my memory is the board, the bylaws being changed to take out all talk of age and adding this. So I think this is a cyclical thing that
Interesting.
we're just swinging the pendulum back and forth.
Do you know when that might have been? Okay, all right, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, if somebody wants to become a member, that the board has to review those people and vote whether or not to pass those anyway. So if there, it seems to me that if there was a concern about a specific person having a background or maturity concerns, that would be a good place to have the stopgap for that. Maybe, you know, maybe there is a 15-year-old or somebody who is exceptionally qualified or ready to take that on, while also there may be someone who's not, and that those people on the board hopefully know the congregants.
Well, so for committee members, can we do an amendment to pull that? Okay, good. Who would, can we get a? Okay.
I would like to move that we strike "and is at least 16 years of age" from this set of proposed amendments.
Second? Todd?
And we can add back in age to the list of eligibility is not limited.
Okay, Amanda second. Okay. All in favor? Okay, and opposed? Thank you. All right. Let's see. Some of the other big change is adding a new category of membership, the continuing membership. And this is for, the intent here is for folks that have been long-term members, and for whatever reason, perhaps they're in a nursing home, perhaps there's some, I don't know, dementia, some whatever the situation, but they're not able to participate in a way that, you know, we have listed as maintaining membership. So, you know, financial participation, whatever, but who have been long-term members and deserve a position of respect. So let's see. So that continuing member would retain all the rights and responsibilities regardless of the degree of stewardship that provide the church. So let's see. And ending. Oh, there's the two places where on that page also where it says board of directors, and I should say board of trustees. Let's see, and then ending membership, it's just, there's really not anything new or different there, it's just clarifying that process. So, any other questions, concerns? Mm-hmm.
You're changing this section 4 called process into maintaining membership, and you are deleting familiarity with UU principles, I believe.
That's a great question. So it's been reorganized into both becoming a member and maintaining membership. Right. Becoming a member says they must meet the eligibility requirements and they must complete the steps to membership described in the church policies. Right. Because, like Ann has been saying, this isn't real, this is a how-to thing. It doesn't really need to be in the bylaws, but it will be documented. It will still have the 4 steps, which are take a class or be a UU at another congregation, have a one-on-one with the minister, make a pledge, and be voted on by the board. Yeah.
And it was clearly stated in the eligibility.
Thank you, Mayor. This is another question that I have regarding compliance with the Tennessee Nonprofit Corporation Act, is removing the requirement that the board give 30 days notice for removing someone from membership in line with the Tennessee Nonprofit Corporation Act.
That would be process rather than bylaws.
Whether or not it's process, is there a legal requirement that we give 30 days notice? Because if there is, then it should be a bylaws level concern.
15 days notice according to Tennessee Nonprofit Corporation Act.
Okay. And that is still something for the policy rather than the bylaws.
I would like to move to amend to add, you said we have a legal requirement for 15 days notice? Okay. Yeah, a sentence that adds back, may be removed from membership by a majority vote, by a simple majority vote of the board with 15 days notice.
Other things are 2/3, so we move that to 2/3 vote of the board. Yeah, okay. With 15 days notice, okay.
Brandon Miller, seconds.
Okay. All in favor? All right, and opposed? Good, okay. So we're going to add that with that first sentence. Okay. Can we, is that it?
Zoom question.
Very good.
This is from Abby Moore. What is the difference between honorary and continuing membership?
We started, I believe, before the listening sessions with the idea of an honorary member and got some feedback that that's, I don't know, a little demeaning towards the contribution that those folks have made over the years. And that continuing member would be, would have some warm and fuzzies where honorary had some ouch. I don't know if that answers Abby's question or not. Okay, very good. Okay, can we have a vote on set 2, making these membership changes with the change to the age and adding the 15 days notice? And yes, yeah, but we'd already voted on that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, who would like to vote or make a motion?
I move that the adoption of proposed changes to the bylaws as described in section 2 and as amended.
Thank you. Who would like to second? Okay, good. All in favor? Okay, and opposed? Pardon? Oh, Mr. Raymond. And all opposed? Nope, okay, thank you. Took care of that. Okay, back to you, Jen.
All right. Had to send Christina a little message to get some stuff ready for the end. All right, so now it's time for the board awards. Our first board award is the Native Fanan Award for Courage and Tolerance. Our values of compassion, tolerance, and acceptance have shown us the way, even in times of upheaval and change. Through the years, we're proud to have been a leading voice for a more compassionate and inclusive Oak Ridge. Some of how our congregation has stayed oriented to these values is through inspiration from people who model and embody what it means to incorporate these values into their lives. People such as Nada Fanan. Nada did not possess wealth or political power. She was more important than that. She was a teacher. Her official role was to teach English, to help students understand the power of literature. But her unofficial role was equally important. She was the teacher who listened and who understood. She welcomed those on the margins, those who aren't often heard. Nada was unafraid to speak her mind, to stand up for what was right. It was this fire for justice that sent her as a teenager. She lied to her parents, off to Washington to hear Dr. King deliver the I Have a Dream speech. And it was what compelled her about 3 decades ago, to begin working with students to establish the Gay-Straight Alliance at Oak Ridge High School. Nada was a teacher of much more than her subject matter. She taught how to live a life tenaciously working for a world of generous love. She embodied courage and tolerance. And though her death from cancer took her far too early in February of 2011, her spirit lives on in this community. And this congregation's Board of Trustees established an annual award in her name. Oops. We'll just skip the rest of that. Yay, John! John Jerusalem is an asset to any group he works with. He and his husband live in Oak Ridge, where he's president of PFLAG and brings his expertise to at least one state association which addresses HIV issues. He served as treasurer of the AIDS Housing Projects in South Knoxville, and he chaired the first annual Pride Fest in Oak Ridge this year. What sets John apart are his wide-ranging interests, depth of experience, and ability to quietly and efficiently organize, advocate, and see the broader impacts of activities and events. John is thoughtful, trustworthy, and responsible. He listens and makes his opinions known, sets limits, and he's never been known to make a snarky remark, so, you know. Marty Adler-Jasny says, John is a joy to work with and a delight to have as a friend. And regarding his service, Sue Lasky said his perseverance and courage are evident in his longevity and activism through his historical health challenges. It's my special privilege to give John Jerusalem the Nada Fanan Award for Courage and Tolerance. Thank you so much. All right. You can skip to the Lifetime of Love and Service Award, but not, yeah, there you go. We realized we had somebody special to honor and that we didn't have a lifetime award, a lifetime of love and service. This award isn't meant to be given out yearly, but as appropriate. Service is a profound expression of divine love which transcends boundaries, religions, and cultures. It's a call to selflessly give of ourselves for the betterment of others, guided by the spirit of compassion and justice centered in love. Service is not limited to grand gestures or monumental acts. It can be found in the smallest acts of kindness and generosity. In the spirit of service, we discover the deep roots of our interdependence. Giving time is a deep act of justice because it allows us to create spaces where transformation has refuge, equity is nurtured, divides are bridged, barriers are broken down, and where a sense of belonging is fostered. Always, always centered in love. Today we honor one among us who has shown through her lifetime her dedication to equity and justice. This person has always worked towards a more just world. In college, as a young woman, she petitioned her national sorority to integrate by taking a train across the country to attend the sororities convention. The discussion did not go the way of universal inherent worth. However, her chapter at Cornell inducted a woman of color anyway. When she first moved to Oak Ridge in the 60s, she and her husband volunteered to build outhouses for Anderson County homes that lacked them. She continued working for justice by helping to integrate Oak Ridge, from leading the first integrated Girl Scout troop to help going on family outings with Black families to local businesses that needed a little more prompting to recognize all people's human rights. Professionally, she herded cats, otherwise known as safety officials from Y12 and ORNL, which apparently prepared her well for retirement. She seems to be involved with every civic organization in town. She's an active member of League of Women Voters for decades. She served on several community boards, including the Traffic Safety Advisory Board and a Community Development Board. She gets things done, from lobbying to the creation of the Senior Center to the creation of ORUC's Memorial Garden at our previous location, to relocating that garden and its remains to this site, which was a massive effort, from investigating the legalities to contacting every family. And blessedly, she made a map from the beginning to help identify the individuals so that they could be reinterred here. From leading the Memorial Services Committee here for many years to her recent volunteering with the United Way of Anderson County, she's been driven to help since forever. Here at church, she's currently involved in Stone Soup and the Social Justice Policy Task Force. At ORUC and in the community, she's an active member of PFLAG and probably still quite a few other organizations. In order to honor this amazing person, the board created the award for a lifetime of love and service, and it is my pleasure to introduce our first winner, Marty Adler-Jasny. Go ahead to the next slide, next two slides. Thank you so much for being here for the sacred business of guiding ORUC. If we didn't participate in these crucial congregational meetings, we couldn't be a church. So the leadership is very grateful to have so many active members. Now we're going to do our closing words together, guided by our future leaders. These are the closing words the kids say every week. May we have eyes that see, hearts that love, and hands that help. Go well into the week now, and always remember that here you will find the hands of friends. Thank you, everybody, and this meeting is adjourned. Your kids are up front. If you've got one, please claim them.
Please join us for a potluck and crafts and tree lighting. Food's in the social hall.